I'm Kat.
And I'm Haley.
And this is Night Classy,
A tipsy night class teaching the oddities and curiosities you never learned in school.
What are you teaching on this learning journey, Haley?
I am teaching us about a procedure that was conducted in 40 to 60% of deaths in the 70s, but has now declined to about 5%.
A procedure?
A procedure, yes, in the population. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, interesting.
What are you teaching us about?
I am teaching about an animal actor from the 1950s.
Oh, that's fun. What, a paid actor?
He was paid handsomely, and we will get to it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say he was paid hands. I was like, Mr. Hands?
No, Mr. Hands is not making another appearance,
Okay.
and he was a human, unfortunately.
Right. For some reason, I always think that was the horse's name.
No, I think the horse's name was like Big Boy or like something extra
no.
creepy.
Yeah,
I think.
It's really bad.
I went to make a TikTok the other day about Mr. Hands because I'm like working backwards from the early episodes and I couldn't do it. I wasn't sure how to make that video without getting banned.
I don't think you can.
Yeah. I also tried to make one on Deep Throat and I was like, I also don't think I can do this without getting banned. So some of the videos I had to skip.
The videos end up being something completely different because you have to use code word on TikTok to talk about things and it just changes everything.
Even with the code words, like the context, I think was just too much for TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok is a sensitive app.
She's very sensitive. Alec posted a video the other night that almost wasn't allowed to be posted because he made like a fake Tinder bio for Lord Byron, but I think you're not supposed to post other people's social media on TikTok, so it got flagged because it looked like a Tinder profile. It was a whole thing.
I was wondering why when I went to my personal account to like the video, I wasn't getting any views. I was like, no, this video is so good.
I know. And it took it a long time for it to like actually post.
Yeah. So if you guys aren't on TikTok or seeing us on TikTok, go head over to our page. We do have a TikTok. I know a lot of our new listeners are coming in from TikTok. So thank you for joining us for a special episode today.
Yes, a very special episode. 3 freaking years.
It doesn't feel like it in the best way.
I mean, it kind of does feel like it.
To me, not. I don't know. I guess probably too with COVID and everything has seemed like a big blur altogether.
That's true.
Like the 3 years, before we started this podcast, we were in college, and the first 3 years of college felt much different than the first 3 years of doing this podcast.
Yeah, I feel that. Isn't it crazy to think like we started this podcast right after we graduated college, and now we feel like full-grown adults with like savings accounts and pets and living with serious boyfriends.
I would have never guessed that I'd have a live-in boyfriend.
I know.
In Memphis. I wasn't sure how long I would be here and what that would look like. But
I thought I was going to be here for 2 years and then dip back to Washington. I did not think I would get stuck here. Just kidding. I'm not stuck. I like it.
Yeah, we like it here. But we've created whole lives in a podcast. So
I know.
Cheers to us.
Cheers to us. We're doing it so good.
So good.
So good.
Keep up the good work.
What are you drinking, Haley?
I have my liquid IV in my water and my coffee because we're started recording around 10:30.
Yeah, it is early and it's like freaking daylight savings, so it's technically feels like 9:30.
It does. I think just the consequence of not always waking up early on the weekends. I never do. And then doing it today was like, whoa, this is tough. I had no idea it was daylight savings.
Yeah, it did feel a little bit rough. I have a Celsius. It's the powder kind that you mix into water. It's dragon fruit lime.
I didn't know they had powdered Celsius.
They do.
It's
and
like basically cocaine.
Pretty much. It's definitely a stimulant. It's delicious. I love the dragon fruit ones. They taste like the Starbucks refreshers.
You're like a drink girl. You introduced me to so many drinks.
I love special drinks. And
it's important.
Alec and I are driving to Florida tomorrow. So I went to the grocery store yesterday and stocked up. And I bought so many drinks. I'm so excited.
Snocks.
I bought coconut waters, Red Bulls, Diet Cherry Coke. What else did I buy? Well, I wanted to buy fizzy water. And okay, you tell me, because Alec and I had a disagreement last night.
I love playing ref.
Kroger has these bottles of fizzy water. They are labeled seltzer water. They say seltzer water on the bottles. They're about the size of like a single like a soda bottle, you know.
It did not say seltzer anywhere on it.
Yes, it did, Alec. They say seltzer water.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about because I had to get that for those nasty margaritas that I fucked up making.
Oh. Well,
anyway.
they say seltzer water and they're flavored. So naturally I thought, okay, this is like a LaCroix, right?
Yeah.
That's what you would think.
I would think that.
I bought them. Haley,
What
this
flavor?
Strawberry.
Okay.
I bought a strawberry one and I drank it yesterday. Again, it says seltzer water in huge letters on the bottle. This was like straight up like sickly sweet soda. It was so sweet.
Just so we can prove that I'm right here, it
Oh my
says
God.
sparkling water.
Okay,
It does
that's
not
the
say
same.
seltzer.
That's the same thing.
Carbonated.
Yeah, sparkling water. So naturally, wouldn't you think it wouldn't be sweet?
No, I wouldn't think
Really?
that. Yeah, because the flavoring.
But
right?
but it was with the LaCroix. And it
LaCroix.
says
I don't know.
sparkling water.
I don't know LaCroix. I'm not a carbonation.
LaCroix
girly.
are not sweet. Like
Okay.
it's like water with a flavor, but they're not sweet. So I assumed this would be like that, but it was like disgustingly sweet. And so I was complaining and Alec told me you should stop complaining because you should have known it was going to be sweet.
I did
And
not
I'm
say
like,
it like that.
How the hell should I have known? I have
You
every
learned-
right to complain.
learned
She's just
today.
like, wouldn't you think this was like a LaCroix? And I was like, well, no, I wouldn't think that's like a LaCroix. And that's when the disagreement
It
started.
says sparkling water. It doesn't say
It says
strawberry
sparkling
soda.
water beverage.
What?
Yeah, all
What's the
sparkling water is a
difference?
beverage.
You see the word beverage on there, you know you're in for some kind of wild ride.
I didn't realize beverage meant it's full of sweetener.
Yeah, instead of beverage, it should be sparkling water fun edition, you know?
Or it should say fucking strawberry soda because it tasted like a strawberry Fanta.
strawberry water soda.
No, I think I'm fully in the right for not knowing it would be sweet, and I wasted $3 because I bought 3 of them.
Oh my God. I would have not known as well. I'm
Yeah,
just not well
thank you.
versed in the sparkling water world. So.
Thank you. And it wasn't with listen, if it were in like the aisle with all the like Sprite and Coke and stuff like that, then I would probably assume it was sweet. But it was in a separate aisle with the unsweetened sparkling waters. So of course I'm not gonna think it's soda.
You know whose fault this really is?
Kroger
Kroger's.
and Alec for not sympathizing with me
Yeah.
and trying to blame me.
non-empathy
He victim
king.
blamed me. Just
Perfect 300th episode, too, because we got Kroger in within the first 5 minutes.
We've got to. It's tradition.
You
Did I say 300th episode?
oh my God.
It didn't
That was
mean it went right over my head.
Sorry, 3 year.
What is it? What are we in our 250s yet?
No,
Of
156.
I don't know.
Man,
I'm
when we're
just
in
riding the wave.
250. We'll be full time recording. We can swap whose home studio we record from if we want to record.
Oh
in
my
person.
God, that would be so fun.
It's gonna happen. I'm
It's
super
gonna
excited.
speak it into existence.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? Everyone who's listening, we're going to start a night classy pyramid scheme where everyone who's listening, you just have to convince 2 people to listen. That's it. And then those 2 people will convince 2 people to listen. And then Haley and I will be able to live off this podcast and never work again.
And that's not a pyramid scheme. There's not money involved. We could call it a web, a night classy web.
yes, a web.
or a family tree.
I love a family tree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that.
Everyone-
It's a pyramid scheme.
Everyone do that. Tell
a
2
family
friends.
pyramid.
That's our retirement plan right there. It's been 3 years. We're still scraping by, which we're thankful for. We love everyone who listens, but it'd be real cool if
when we go full time.
Yeah.
So look out for that. Thank you for your support. And if you want to support more than just listening, which we appreciate that's the very best thing you can do. But of course, we have a Patreon set up where we put out extra content, and you can subscribe to that at patreon.com/nightclassy.
Yes, go do that. And I don't have really anything else. Do we have any announcements?
I don't either. We don't have any Patreon shoutouts, but we have had quite a few patrons join. So if that's one of you and you haven't gotten your shout out yet, we want to shout you out and recognize you for supporting the show. So head over to patreon.com, check your messages. I check Patreon every day. There's a timer that goes off on my phone. So I'm not missing anyone. Just don't ghost me. Don't ghost me, patrons.
Seriously, don't ghost us. Oh, one more thing. Join our Facebook group, please.
Oh my God, it's already so fun.
Please, please, please. It's called Night Classmates. You can find it in our link tree, which is in like all the bios of our social media in the show notes. And we want to start a fun little community over there. So go join, make some posts. We'll respond. I lurk in there. I'm like waiting for people to post all the time. So go join. We love to see it.
Somebody posted about Depths of Wikipedia, that Instagram page. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny because that's the account that I like gate kept from you. This is like, no, Kat can't know about this page. It's where I get ideas.
I need more ideas pages because right now I feel like I should be paying allthat'sinteresting.com because I use their shit so much. Literally, when I don't have an episode topic, I just steal one from them. So
it's so good. I need to go through my bank account and see how many subscriptions I need to unsubscribe from because I keep signing up for for articles that are like paid only.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I never do. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing that.
When it's all compiled, like one of my sources today, all of this great information was compiled in one spot. And I was like, I can't not pay $3 for this.
Yeah, that's worth it.
We got to put it on the Night Classy card.
Yeah. We do need like a National Geographic account and a New York Times account. Those are the two that...
I have a New York Times account. And I have several others that I can share.
I had one, I forget what it was, some British website, but now I get their emails like 6 times a day.
So annoying. And it's
so
like,
annoying.
I didn't ask for this. I'm literally paying you. You don't have to email me.
Well, they're emailing me because I stopped paying them.
Oh,
they want
yeah.
me to start again.
That's an issue.
Who we really need to pay is Wikipedia. I need to make some Wikipedia donations.
I pay Wikipedia.
You do.
Yep.
You're a good person.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just racking up. I have like $100 per month going to subscriptions.
Well, I'm happy for you.
Me too. Mm-hmm. These sources are prime.
So good. They better fucking be good at this point.
They're alpha sources.
They're .org.
They're not though, which is so funny.
Anyway, did you go first last week?
Yeah, I think it's your turn.
Okay, it's my turn. Here we go. NBC's The Today Show began in 1952, and by 1953, ratings were on the floor, and the show was like about to get canceled.
Uh-oh.
I know. For maybe our international listeners, those who aren't familiar with The Today Show, it's on NBC, which is a news outlet / company. And the Today Show is a morning variety show. So there's like news segments sprinkled in with like talk segments with like the hosts. There's live performances, cooking demonstrations. You've seen the Today Show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically just like something to have on while you're getting ready for the morning. It was a little bit different back in the 1950s. In the early 50s, television was mostly targeted toward children. And the Today Show was no different. In addition to regular news reports and weather forecasts, it also had comedy bits, toy demonstrations, and readings of children's books. So
variety.
Yeah, variety. Interesting that a news show was like targeted toward kids. I found that kind of funny. Yeah. But I also do remember being a kid and loving the Today Show because like they would have like sometimes kids performers or like animals and stuff on, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. I remember my neighbors having it on in the morning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ours was always like Fox News. So
I was going to say you're a Fox and Friends family. Anyway, so like it's geared toward kids. So when a former page reached out and offered his chimpanzee for an audition, it kind of fit. This wasn't super outlandish, and execs thought that maybe a cute animal would be enough to save the show.
Yeah.
Mr. Muggs was a 10-month-old chimpanzee who was born in French Cameroon before, I believe, being captured. He may have been born in captivity, I'm not sure, and being brought to New York City to Henry Treflick's pet store. The chimp was held in the window of the pet store, which held a naming competition. I know, Haley has a horrified look.
Yeah.
It is really sad. Luckily, besides being captured and brought to New York and treated as a pet, which is an abuse in its own, I don't think he was ever abused beyond that, so we don't have to worry too much. This is not a graphic animal abuse case, but obviously far from ideal conditions.
Suspend your disbelief.
Right. Definitely a sad, but I don't want anyone turning this off because they're afraid something horrible is gonna happen.
For what it is.
It's
fine.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the 1950s go, this chimp was probably all right.
That's fair.
Yeah. Still not great though. He was given the names Mr. Muggs from this naming competition. And it was in the window of the pet store that he caught the eye of two former NBC pages, Bud Manella and Roy Waldron, who decided to buy Mr. Muggs for $600, which would be about $7,000 today. But this is a chimpanzee. I feel like that is the right amount of money, maybe.
Seems right.
Maybe even on the cheap side. I don't know the going rates for chimpanzees today. Can you even buy one? Probably not.
You
I
probably
hope
can
not.
buy one
That's true.
somewhere. I would think 15,000.
They're
Yeah.
50 grand now.
Jesus.
Whoa.
I mean, I guess that's a good. I mean, it's not even a good thing you can buy one at all, but at least maybe that prohibits more people from getting them.
Seriously. Okay. Well. Oh man, what a complicated, layered.
I know.
topic.
We're only a few in, and we have all these layered discussions. And chimpanzees are aggressive animals. I don't know
They
why you would
are.
want one.
Oh my god! As soon as you said chimpanzee, I started thinking of that woman whose chimpanzee tore her friend's face off.
It tore their
Horrific.
face off. They are so aggressive. They're gorillas are kind of aggressive, but chimps are freaking aggressive.
And that chimp had grown up with that family. There had been no previous incidents. What was their name? I can't remember. But
I don't
you know what I'm
remember.
talking about?
Yes.
Where we have the 911 call.
Yeah, they're wild
Oh.
freaking animals. No amount of socialization will change that.
Mhm.
Domestication is bred in. You can't just raise a wild animal by hand and think it's gonna act like a pet. It's not.
Yeah, that's me after Safety beats my toe.
Oh my god. Together, these two guys trained Muggs, and he appeared. Get it? Appeared, appeared.
Did you come up with that?
I came up with that.
That was pretty
Oh,
good.
thank you. On a few TV shows before they shot their shot with NBC in early 1953. NBC executives agreed to meet with them, but due to reasons I'm not sure why, they missed the audition. They weren't able to show up. They did end up stopping by a coffee shop, though, that same day. And Muggs got a coffee and a donut, and he was entertaining coffee shop customers by dunking the donut in the coffee.
Oh,
It was super adorable. It drew a crowd. Everyone was watching this, loving it, obviously.
Cute. That's when you show up to work, but you have your Starbucks. You're
Yeah.
I'm so sorry I'm late. But it's so
Literally.
clear. My dad has his own business, and he was talking to me about how one of his employees did that and how much it upset him. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God, get
that's
over it.
part of the deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes you're not going to be your best self unless you have your coffee.
That's so
It's
true.
better to be a little late and caffeinated than on time and uncaffeinated.
Could not agree more. It's dangerous. I'm not as awake without coffee.
Yeah, me either. That's this morning I was trying to tell Alec that he needed to go buy cat litter and then drop it off at your house, and then I would bring the cats over. And I was because Haley is watching our cats while we go on a trip, and I was explaining this to him, and he was just giving me the most overwhelmed, glazed over face, and he goes, "I'm sorry, I haven't had coffee." It's fair enough.
Nothing you're saying is going into my brain.
No, and I get it. Did you end up having your coffee?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Coffee is a must. So my triglycerides are high because of the Accutane and all of that. So I was researching what foods to avoid, and it said boiled coffee. And I just assumed that the coffee that I drink is boiled coffee. So I didn't make coffee the next morning. And within 5 minutes of being awake, I'm like, I can't do this. I'm going to have coffee.
Yeah.
And I re-Googled it. Boiled coffee is when you boil the water and then pour in like powdered coffee.
Oh.
So we drink filtered coffee.
Okay, so
it's
you're fine. Thank God.
Yeah, I was ready. I was so ready to give it up that night. I'm like, I'm going to get my triglycerides down. Everything's going to be awesome. I'm going to start Accutane again. And then that morning I was like, absolutely not. Fuck a triglyceride.
Yeah, caffeine is an absolute necessity. I got my 23andMe back, and
You did. How have we not talked about this yet?
because it's nothing interesting. I'm white. We already knew this. But one of the interesting things, though, is that I'm predisposed genetically to require more caffeine than a normal person. So
How? What does that even mean?
it just says in my
From what?
23andMe that like I will drink like more coffee and caffeine than a normal person. I
That
don't know.
checks
I don't
out.
know why, but now I have an excuse.
Yeah, you do. You're like, it's scientifically proven.
Yeah, literally.
You know what popped up on my 23andMe?
What?
I showed Kat was a trait they found that I have the hoarder gene.
What? There's a gene for that?
Yeah, it says you have a gene that's hard to get rid of frequently unused items.
Wow.
Infrequently used items.
I feel like you're hyper aware of things like that, though. Like, I feel like you're the type of person who hates having stuff.
I think I'm fighting the gene.
Yeah.
I know it's in there.
Your
And, like-
cells are at war.
But I think it's like the environment that made you like that. Because Alex's parents, they're not hoarders, but they are like sentimental and prone to keeping things. And so Alec like is hyper aware that he doesn't want his like place to be cluttered. So I think, yeah, you're
That makes sense.
breaking generational curses over here. Mine had an interesting thing, and that's that I have genetics that make me bad at my sense of direction, which is
Whoa.
good validation because I have a horrible sense of direction. I have to use Google Maps to get places that I've been 100 times.
Evolutionarily, you were fucked.
Yeah, I am fucked. It's my Neanderthal DNA apparently that makes me, because I have like a lot of it, and it makes me bad at
Really?
with direction.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
Now I really want to know mine. Dang
You
it.
you should get it done.
I
It is
should.
fun. Anyway, it was lucky that Muggs drew this big crowd because in the crowd was an NBC executive. He saw this go down. He's like, he doesn't need this is his audition. This is a living audition.
You're a star.
You're a star. He was obsessed with this chimp. He told the NBC president, I want that chimp. Muggs was swiftly hired as a full-time cast member of the Today Show. NBC changed his name to Fred J. Muggs, put him in a diaper, and officially put him on the show on February 3rd, 1953.
He's so fucking cute, too.
I know. He is
Just
adorable.
Their little faces, their eyes, you know that sensation when something's really cute and you just want to squeeze
Yes.
it?
They look like tiny old people.
Oh, they do.
So cute. And they would like dress him up in these little old man outfits. It's so cute.
Very charming. Look, he has a camera in that picture.
Aw, he always had he had a lot of props. Very cute.
Oh my God, this reminds me. I'm sorry. I have a tangent.
Okay.
So when my great grandfather died, we got some of his stuff and I got one of his super old cameras. Like this could have been in a museum. And when Tommy and I were back at my dad's house, I was going through my trunk and found this old camera. And as a teenager, I spray painted it all silver, like metallic
You've told us
silver.
that before. That is a bummer.
And we were trying to figure out, though, why in the world I would do that. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I was going through this computer that I had gotten when I was in 6th grade. And we were pulling all of these pictures, like tens of thousands of pictures on here. And I found a screenshot of Pinterest where somebody had done that.
Oh my
and it must have
God.
been my
That was your
inspiration.
inspo. Pinterest has been ruining
Monkey
antiques.
see, monkey do.
I just was shocked. I was like, Tommy, come here.
Oh my God.
It was tragic.
That is tragic. I also inherited an old film camera from my grandfather, and I think it's in Enumclaw. Next time we go home, we should grab it.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Yeah, I will not be spray painting
Put it
it.
in a glass case.
The original hosts of the Today Show were the host, Dave Garroway, and the newsreader, Jim Fleming. When Fleming heard a chimpanzee was joining the cast, he quit. He's like, I don't want, that's an insult to me and my professionalism. I don't want any part of that.
Something tells me that was a mistake.
Maybe.
Oh,
He
okay.
was replaced by Frank Blair. So
Also a chimpanzee.
also, no, the newsreader. Garroway, though, stayed on and typically would hold Muggs on his lap while Muggs performed various tricks during the newscast.
Today's headline.
That would be so cute, though.
I would watch that.
Me too. Muggs learned more than 500 words. He could imitate Popeye, play the piano, perform comedy routines, and had a closet of 450 outfits.
Whoa.
They also gave him a girlfriend who was a female chimp named Phoebe B. BB, which reminded me of something Haley would name a cat.
Christ. Yeah, it totally is.
Phoebe B. BB.
You know how people will be like, ooh, that would be a cool band name.
Yeah.
My version of that is, ooh, that'd be a cool cat name.
I know.
now.
I'm so interested just to, like, at the end of my life, I can't wait to look back on all the pets you've had and their interesting names.
I'll get a little baby tombstone for each of the cats, make it like a bookend or something so you can remember and look back.
Aw.
I mean,
That's
hopefully
kinda
in like
sad.
20 to 30
Yeah.
years.
Aw.
But, you know, over the course of my life, I'll have
Right.
a lot of cats.
A lot
so.
of cats. You'll have like a little graveyard in the back with.
Yes.
That would actually be cute, little mini tombstones for
Yeah.
all your dead pets, and then just have a pet cemetery in your yard.
That's exactly what I want to
I'm
happen.
so down. We should, you know what we should do?
What?
We should buy like a cheap empty lot somewhere in Memphis and open a pet cemetery.
Oh my God. Yeah, we need to do that.
Let's do it.
How much do lots of land go for?
Probably
30,000.
not that much. Yeah, we can afford that, right? No, we can't. And maybe someday. For obvious reasons, Muggs was an instant star. The audience of the Today Show was now rapidly increasing, and advertisement revenue was pouring in. Muggs saved the show. They started making Muggs merchandise. He was in books, comics, and games. He was featured in fictional stories in Mad magazine. And in 1958, one of his finger paintings was even used as the cover of Mad.
Oh.
In his 5-year career with NBC, he made the network an estimated $100 million.
Oh my God, that's so much money.
Yeah, and back in 1950s.
Yeah, they were almost the To Done show.
Right. He literally, like, NBC was saved by a chimpanzee. Well, the Today Show.
Wow, they owe chimpanzees everywhere.
They really do. I hope they're making donations to their conservation. No, definitely not. Muggs was paid around $2,000 per month for his contributions, which I believe today would be like a little over like $200,000 a year, which not a bad salary for an animal.
Real quick,
yeah,
his
I
finger
take it.
painting's beautiful.
Yeah, it is nice.
Abstract.
He was an artist.
It looks like a sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Cover artist. It's a picture of a chimp. Sorry.
He looks mad in that picture.
He always looks mad. He's a chimpanzee. Muggs, they always look mad.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
They always look cute.
Okay. Muggs made public appearances like, oh, by the way, speaking of
What?
cute,
Yeah.
there is a baby monkey right now at the Memphis Zoo.
Really?
And it's so cute.
I'm going on Tuesday.
You gotta
I'm
look
bringing
for it.
my little friend.
It's one of those black monkeys with the long arms.
Francois Lamar. What are they called?
I don't know what they're called, but the monkeys are black, but the baby is orange. And it is so cute.
Oh my God.
And Haley, there's a baby bongo, which is like, I think
The
like
fuck
an
is that?
African deer. And it's also adorable. There's so many babies right now.
Okay, yeah, 'tis the season. It is spring after all. Okay,
Yeah.
this also reminds me. You know what? I'll say this. That would be a good extra credit thing.
Okay, save it. Muggs made public appearances like being hired for grand openings, visiting the military, and going on world tours promoting NBC. He was especially popular in Japan. He visited Japan to a geisha house as a guest of honor. He was dressed in a kimono, wooden clogs, and carried a parasol.
I need a picture of that.
There's a picture of him wearing all that surrounded by the geishas, and it is the cutest picture in the world. Some countries, though, didn't like mugs as much as Japan did.
They're just intimidated.
Yeah. A Russian media source wrote that mugs was, quote, necessary in order that the average American should not look into reports on rising taxes and decreasing pay, but rather laugh at the funny mug of a chimpanzee.
Well,
Which is kind of quite literally what he was used for. Like, he was
Yeah.
used to bring some brevity to the news and distract people.
Yeah.
So it's pretty spot on.
NBC isn't saying that this should be your only news.
No, and it's actually maybe a way of tricking Americans into watching the news.
Yeah. Oh, he's so cute. Look at his hair.
Oh
He's got
my
like
God.
a middle part.
That must have been when he was a tiny baby. He is so
Yeah.
cute. Another country also had beef with mugs, and that is Great Britain.
Again, jealous.
Well, this one's petty.
Oh.
The Today Show was airing the coverage of Queen Elizabeth II's coronation, and they interrupted their footage with an advertisement for tea. And in this advertisement, it featured Muggs, the chimpanzee. This really pissed off the English. They did not like that there was like an ad break during footage of the royal family.
They need to get over
They're
themselves.
so annoying.
The royal thing is so, what is the word I'm looking for?
It's
Washed up.
yeah, it's honestly like cringe, you guys. I don't,
Super
like,
embarrassing.
if you're English, you should be embarrassed.
And
But
we're not saying that we're also not embarrassed of our
ties.
situation.
Right, that too. I don't know. I just hate the English now after they tried to tell me it's quinine over and over again.
Yeah, you have a personal vendetta
I
for
do.
sure.
I hate the English now.
But they were angry that a chimpanzee was shown during this apparently very important, not at all cringe moment. And this actually led to legislation that prohibited ad breaks during the coverage of the royal family in the UK.
Wow, the pettiness is unreal.
Yeah.
What they should have done if they were going to be, capitalistic about it is just charged an astronomical amount of money to run ads during it.
They probably already did, honestly, but I mean, you gotta.
Yeah, they just shut that
advertise
shit
tea.
down.
What better time to advertise tea than during the coronation?
Yes.
Like, the tea was probably imported from the UK anyway. They should be grateful. There was someone else who also didn't like Muggs, and that was his own co-host, Dave Garroway.
Uh-oh.
Muggs owner Manella said, quote, "The sad thing was Muggs loved Dave, but Dave was so jealous of Muggs being famous that it began to eat at him."
You can't compare yourself to a chimp like that.
No.
And it's just uncomfortable because you're never going to be loved as much as a chimp is.
You will never be as cute as a chimpanzee.
That will destroy you.
No matter how cute you are, look at a baby chimpanzee and that thing is 10 times cuter.
Yeah,
obviously.
Don't hurt your own feelings.
And he really did, because Muggs would get like bags and bags of fan mail, and I doubt Dave Garroway was getting much fan mail. Like, Muggs was the star of the show. There are rumors that Garroway would spike Muggs's orange juice with Benzedrine, which is an amphetamine and stimulant, and this would make him misbehave, so he would be removed from the stage and Garroway could have the show to himself. I don't
What an asshole.
think that's true. I highly doubt that someone would be like that much of a freak to drug. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. It sounds
hard to
like
say.
a rumor to me.
Yeah.
But Garroway definitely was jealous, or at least didn't like Muggs. He once designed an on-air bit where he gave Muggs a choice between taking a banana or signing another year's contract as co-host. This was like meant to like embarrass, I guess, Muggs, if that's possible, or like at least like make, I don't really know what the end goal was, but the farce didn't go according to plan when Muggs took the pen and signed the contract with an X and ignored the banana, because apparently he didn't like bananas.
Oh my God. So he's smart too.
He is smart.
He knows what he's trying to do.
Yeah, he knows what's going on. Garraway had reasons besides jealousy to hate Muggs. Apparently Muggs was really badly behaved, which fucking duh. He was a chimpanzee being given a full-time job and treated like a human.
I'm just a chimp. My life is a nightmare.
What if he got like super angsty and had like the emo bangs at one point?
That
would be so
needs
cute.
to happen. We need to find a picture of a chimp with a photoshopped. I don't need anyone manipulating.
Or we could just
actual chimp.
Photoshop one. Alec, do that.
Yeah, please.
Muggs was described by people around him as, quote, a nasty little monkey. He was known for throwing huge tantrums when he didn't get his way. And he reportedly learned that while the red broadcasting light was on, like during taping of the live show, he couldn't be disciplined. So when that light would go on, he'd act up the most, and it was always like on air, so it was extra inconvenient. He was known to run around the set,
like
throw
you guys,
and drag
by the way.
furniture. Right.
As soon as we hit record, we're like, Kroger, Kroger, Kroger.
Yeah, Alec can no longer tell us to shut up.
Alec beat me because I had seltzer water last night.
Oh my God.
No, you know what he did too?
Oh,
he
what?
he said he said, you know how we were talking about things that annoy us about each other, and he said, this is yours, is that you buy things without reading the label and then get upset. And I was like, I do that, but I don't get upset. I just waste money.
Waste money. I mean, you seemed kind of upset about this.
No, I wasn't upset until Alec didn't sympathize with me.
Oh, okay.
I said, wouldn't you think this would be unsweet? And he said, no, actually, I wouldn't. And that's what made me upset.
Yeah, and you're like, how hard would it be for you to just say, yeah. That's what Tommy and I have talked about. Like, there are situations that you can lie in.
Yeah. You're allowed to lie.
Just use your brain about it.
It's interesting you disagree with me because you can lie to me.
Truly, I lie to you all the time.
That's the whole reason why we started dating, is because I thought you could handle this, but apparently my reality is skewed.
I was wrong. At a press conference announcing Muggs as a new cast member, he pulled Dave Garraway's glasses off. Muggs was always on a harness while his owners held the leash just out of sight of the cameras.
Oh, I was a leash kid.
You were a leash kid?
Yeah, I was a leash kid.
Oh my God.
Totally unnecessary though, because I was such a well-behaved child, and then my
Yeah.
parents were like, "We don't need a leash anymore." When they had my brother,
We don't need a leash anymore.
My brother needed a leash.
People make fun of leashes, but I think I would do it. It just makes sense.
It just makes sense. And if I ever have kids, I probably would do some style of it, especially in places like airports or anytime I'm going to be in a parking lot, because I just hear so many scary stories about human trafficking. And it's like, okay, if they're going to try and traffic my kid and get my child, God forbid, then they're going to be attached to me.
Or just like getting hit by a car or getting lost.
Running out.
People like make fun of leash parents because it's like, oh, you don't have control of your kid. No one fully has control of a toddler. Like, they have a mind of their own. You never know.
And they don't understand danger properly until they're much older.
It's better safe than sorry. I'm in full support of child leashes. Sue me.
I'm in support of them and in support of making fun of them.
Yeah.
I get how silly it is.
That's true. I fully recognize that it looks ridiculous. But at places like Disneyland or like at a concert, somewhere crowded, I don't know. I think it makes sense.
Same. I'm glad we're in agreement there.
My mom was staunchly anti-leash.
You guys both have little brothers. Did you ever have like the strong kidnapping fear instinct as older siblings?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, I've had anxiety my whole life. I was terrified. I used to have constant nightmares of my little brother being kidnapped, and I couldn't do anything about it. When he would play outside, like my mom would go do other things, I had to like sit in the window and watch him because I was so scared of him being kidnapped. It was the whole thing.
People are like, wow, older children are so mature. I mean, even to
we
this
just
day,
have anxiety.
Yeah, that's all it is. Last night we were watching a movie where a brother and a sister Okay, there was this situation, something bad happened to the sister, and she called her brother to come and help her, but he was struggling with substance abuse and didn't come to help her, and they were kind of rehashing that, and the brother broke down and started crying, and I shed a tear too, because I was upset that the brother was upset because he couldn't help the sister and was having his own issues. I was like, oh my God, everything's so bad. I'd feel so bad as the sister that this happened to me, but also the brother is upset.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a fictional show. None of this actually happened.
It doesn't matter. It's like that's like an innate, I feel like that's just a primal human fear, is like we feel like the need to protect our younger siblings.
Yeah.
But yeah, stressful.
I need to take a break.
Yeah, ad break right now, shall we?
Better help.
The harness was usually enough to control Muggs, but sometimes he did escape it. During one escape, he got outside, climbed a tree, and had to be lured down with food. Another
not
escape,
bananas.
Not bananas. Actually, it was weird because the article said he was lured down with bananas, but then like that other article said he hated them. Maybe this was before he hated them, and then he had too many and then developed a hatred.
Maybe he hated them, and that's why he came down. He was like, I'm about to punch the shit out of that banana.
You know who else hates bananas is
Me.
my horse. Oh, and me.
We all hate bananas except for Alec.
Yeah, Alec likes bananas.
Duke also hates bananas.
Yeah, I tried to give them to him, and he will like take it out of my hand, like chew it up, and then spit it back out into my hand. It's so
Wow.
nasty.
He really hates bananas.
There's like almost nothing grosser than a chewed up, spit out banana.
yeah, everything about bananas, I'm not with it.
No, they're slimy.
My favorite thing about bananas happened during Night Classy Trivia Night on Patreon, which was, the question was, if humans and chimpanzees are 98% genetically identical, how identical are we to a banana? And Haley responded 99% identical to the banana, being more than the chimp.
I have received incorrect information and blindly followed it. Okay.
They're more related to bananas than chimpanzees. Oh my god.
I think the answer was 60%. It was still high.
That's high.
It's high.
And
Still
if you
high.
turn a 6 upside down and then add another one, that's 99. That's numerology, baby.
You were close. In another escape, an associate producer was forced to chase Muggs down the hallway in her underwear. Muggs once appeared on a 1955 episode of the game show Make the Connection. He went on with his babysitter, Joanne Cottingham, and the point of the show, the panel was supposed to guess their relationship. So usually I think it was a human-human pairing, and then you'd guess like, oh, are they brother and sister, boyfriend and girlfriend, friends, whatever. In this case, like, I don't really understand like what other relationship she could have to a chimp besides his handler,
yeah.
but whatever. After the episode began, Muggs ran away and spent the entire like filming session running all over the set.
They're like, oh, I know, it's kidnapper and kidnappee. Where's the leash?
No one could catch him, and they were just like chasing him around trying to film. Eventually, they just called it a day and gave Cottingham the prize money of $150 by default. So it kind of worked out well.
Yeah, it did.
According to some, Muggs could also be dangerous. It was widely documented in 1954 that Muggs bit a comedian named Martha Ray and her understudy, Vicky Carlson. This was staunchly denied by Muggs's handlers as a tabloid rumor and quote-unquote plain bullshit. But it was in a lot of news sources, including NBC sources, so probably did happen. Muggs also reportedly bit the Mad Magazine editor, Al Feldstein, and Dave Garroway, his co-host, who claims Muggs bit him in the face on live TV.
Ouchie.
Ouch. This is a freaking chimpanzee. Their teeth are huge.
They're not messing around. They will break the skin at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Muggs' handlers actually ended up suing Garroway in Muggs' name for quote-unquote ruining the chimp's career.
Oh, they were going to say life.
I mean, kind of. Mostly his career. Actually, I think he was better off not having a career in television as a chimpanzee. So definitely just the career. And I don't think they ended up winning, but it is true that Muggs's career did end, probably because of the biting. Once his 5-year contract was over in 1957, it was not renewed, and NBC replaced Muggs with a more docile ape named Kokomo Jr.
Wow, I like how they kept going with the ape theme. They weren't like, okay, our network is revived. We don't need to use
maybe
animals
it's time
anymore.
to replace them. They did stop using apes, though, in 1958. So just a year later, they did stop, thankfully. The official press release reported that Muggs intended to, quote unquote, extend his personal horizons. He did briefly star on the J. Fred Muggs Show and then worked at Busch Gardens performing in the theater before fully retiring at the age of 23.
Oh,
so he did have a long career.
How long do chimps live?
On average, I think including wild chimps, 50 years. But in captivity, they can live over 70.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Muggs and his girlfriend, Phoebe BBB, were retired to Citrus Park, Florida, where they are now...
Real quick fact check. In captivity, 39 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow. Liar.
I read that somewhere because I also wondered. So I guess whatever I read, I either misread it or it was wrong. Let's see. They retired to Florida, where they are now cared for by Muggs's original owner's son, Gerald Priest. The two chimps have their own cottage. They have creature comforts like television, radio, and a backyard made to look like a jungle. As of 2022, Muggs is still alive. We think he's still alive. They're pretty good about keeping him out of the public eye, but pretty sure we're still alive. And this is really old for a chimp, as like we said, like 50 years around is their normal lifespan. So he's soups old.
Yeah.
NBC recently, and I don't have this in my notes, so I'm sorry if this isn't like perfectly true, but they like on one like newscast like joked about Muggs being like 6 feet under, like dead, and then his owner was like pissed about that joke because Muggs was still alive. And they also showed footage of Muggs like in that like anniversary like episode or whatever joke, and then they didn't pay Muggs's owner like any royalties for it, so there was like a little bit of bad blood there. Anyway, by all accounts, he and Phoebe BBB have had a happy retirement. They're not performing anymore. They're just living their lives as retirees in Florida, as we all hope to someday do.
Wow,
They're
magical.
still alive?
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently.
Absolutely
I know.
asinine.
They're old as fuck.
Super old and living it up, though. I'm sure he's all like gray and stuff now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I hope they have a happy life, as happy as privately owned chimps in captivity can possibly have, which I mean is questionable in and of its own. But
I'm gonna write down the name Phoebe BBB.
Phoebe BBB.
Phoebe BBB.
So cute. You gotta name one of your cats that. At least get like a goldfish or something. And
I think I will.
It's a good name. Anyway, that is my lesson.
Wow.
J. Fred Muggs.
I learned so much. NBC should be paying him forever.
They really
owe their lives to him.
I mean, at the very least, I really think they should be funding chimpanzee conservation efforts, because what they did is fucked up and they need to pay reparations.
They sure do.
And I want to give you credit, Kat, that they can live to their 70s, but the average lifespan is more 39 to 50.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. Well, shall we take a quick break?
We shall.
Rolling.
Surprise, no ad.
As a gift to ourselves for our 3rd podcast birthday.
And for you all. Really, I feel like I didn't say it enough at the top, but thank you guys so much for listening. 3 years is a long time, and some of you have been with us since the very beginning. We're really, really grateful.
Yeah, we love you guys
so much.
So,
all right.
No ad.
Until it's dynamically inserted in a few months.
Yeah. Right.
Moving on.
No ad
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So we're talking March 12th. Okay, I want to give a trigger warning before this lesson for infant loss and death in general. Okay. Here's our opener. In the year 1533, Catholic Pope Clement VII ordered an autopsy for conjoined twins Joanna and Melchiora Ballestero. They were just 8 days old when they died, and since they were conjoined, the church was unsure if they had one soul or two souls.
Oh.
Because at the time, your soul it was connected to your heart. I don't know if that's still the belief or not. But they went ahead and did do 2 baptisms, just to be sure, cover all their bases. So an autopsy revealed that the twins each had their own heart, meaning that they each had their own souls. So they were glad that they did 2 baptisms, and this would be known as the first autopsy in the New World. So today, we're going to explore autopsies.
Fun!
The history, the evolution of them, and things that we've learned, okay?
Yay!
So we'll start with the word autopsy. It's derived from Greek word autopsia, which means see for yourself.
Perfect. Get straight to the point.
It's like the nicest way to say, fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Cut open a body and smell
See
it.
what's in there. Yeah. According to Johns Hopkins, an autopsy is a medical exam of a body after death. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I used to want to be a medical examiner. That was like my favorite show. I forget what it was called, but they essentially just followed a medical examiner through autopsies.
Oh,
I think
wow.
it was on TLC.
Did they show the bodies?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I know. Autopsies are conducted when a death is suspicious or unexpected, whenever there's a public health concern, or when doctors are just unsure of why the person died and they can't sign the death certificate until they're positive, or when a family requests an autopsy. Do you want to guess how much an autopsy costs?
Ooh, $20,000.
Ooh, wow, that would be super expensive.
Oh.
They're $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, okay.
Which, yeah, compared to $20,000,
Yeah, that's
super
straight up affordable. Dollar
Tree
Tree autopsy.
Yes, and so it's pricey if you want to get a private one done. They're typically they're always conducted by either a coroner, a medical examiner who is a doctor. Typically, coroners aren't doctors, or a pathologist. Those are the ones who always do the clinical autopsies related to crimes. There's 3 levels. You have a complete one, a deep dive into your wonderland of a body, and they take everything out. They go into the tissues of it all and get really nitty and gritty with it. There are limited autopsies that sounds like it's everything except for the head.
Oh.
And then there's selective autopsies, where they're just looking at very specific organs to confirm what they already think happened to the person.
Okay.
Okay. Autopsies may not be completed if the death is apparent, such as old age, or if it can be confirmed without one. So they're a lot less common now than they were in the 70s, for example. And I want to take a look at some autopsy tools, which are so cool and so scary. So there's a variety.
Oh my God. Those are just saws.
Yeah, they're literally just saws. There's a variety of saws that are used. And then, of course, you have like tongs and shit. But the bone saw you see in the top left corner, it really just looks like a handsaw.
Yeah.
That was once used to saw through the skull, but in recent years, more and more autopsies are typically done with a vibrating saw that you see to our right. It kind of looks like a dental tool almost.
Or just like a table saw like that.
Yeah.
These are just saws, which I shouldn't be surprised if
I
you're
know.
cutting through bone, you're going to need something like that. But dang.
And then once
they look very like something you would just have in your garage.
Yeah, it's intense. Once you saw open the skull, then you use this bottom left-hand corner one. That is the skull chisel. And it's used to, quote, gently finish the separation of the top, like
your
pry
head
it from
open.
the lower. Yeah. And it looks like that thing that you would use if you have a glass shower, to get all the droplets off of the wall.
Squeegee.
Yeah.
It does.
It looks like a squeegee. So there's a variety of tools used. And have you ever watched the show We Bought a Funeral Home?
No.
so
That's a show?
good. This
Okay.
family buys an old funeral home, and the show just chronicles them making it into their house.
Is it haunted?
I don't know, probably. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they start to like hear things.
Ooh.
But this family, they're millionaires presumably, and it's absolutely wild. You would love it.
I will definitely be watching that.
And it's a gothic family. They're like real life Addams family, but the wife had been collecting lobotomy tools and I think autopsy tools, and she created this like wall of them all portrayed.
Whoa.
It's so cool.
That's amazing. What network was that on? TLC?
No, it wasn't on TLC. I'm trying to think what it was on. I don't remember. It was some weird one that I had to
Yeah.
get like a subscription free for a week, and then I was like, and then that's when I actually canceled.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah, there it is. We bought a funeral home. I don't know.
Looks
if
like Discovery Plus.
Okay, and it's a new show, 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sweet. Well,
Very good.
I will watch it because I still have my Discovery Plus subscription that I bought and forgot to cancel.
Well, there you go. And shout out to Justin for recommending that show to me. So,
Yes.
see, we're building a family pyramid. We're recommending shows. Now we can do that with Night Classy.
Yes.
So, let's dive into the history of autopsies. Before the Renaissance era, autopsies were not really a thing. It was considered offensive to even like think of dissecting bodies like that. Of course, you have the Egyptians who gained a lot of knowledge from mummifying people. But Hippocrates began to lay this foundation for autopsies in 460 BC with his humoral theory. The humoral theory was that there are 4 humors that make up the body. You have black bile, yellow bile, phlegm, and blood.
Yum.
This, of course, was an evolution of the idea that supernatural causes created disease and that death resulted from that. He thought that death was from an imbalance of the 4 humors. There's just way too much bile in that theory.
Yeah,
for
there's
me.
too much bile, and I don't know what black bile is, but I don't like to think about it in my body.
I don't want to know. That seems like a BC human problem, you know?
Right.
I hope we're not dealing with too much black bile in the modern era.
Yellow bile only.
Yes, and I totally understand phlegm. Who doesn't have phlegm?
Oh,
But
yeah.
black bile, that's kind of scary. I feel like that could have been the whole theory of disease. It's just like, if you have black bile, that's an issue.
Yeah, that's like when you're watching a scary movie, like when someone's possessed and they throw up black stuff.
Yeah.
That's what black bile
Like,
is to
that's
me.
not real. But Hippocrates was like, oh, yes,
Oh,
it
yes.
is.
Maybe it was real back then.
Maybe
Getting
so.
possessed by demons all the time.
So next up, and this will just kind of be in a timeline style. I feel like that's the best way to tell the history
Yeah.
of autopsies. I couldn't really craft it into a story, so
Not everything needs to be a story.
good. I'm just setting the expectations now. In 367 BC, Ptolemy the First, Soter, king of Egypt, established the university.
Wait, did you just say Tom Lee, the king of Egypt?
Ptolemy.
Oh, Ptolemy.
I think you
That's what I
said
meant to say.
TOM space LEE.
That's what I thought too.
I probably did say that. That's like top
Tom
of mind.
Lee, the ancient Egyptian king.
Okay.
He wore overalls and a straw hat.
That's like a nickname that I call Tommy. I call him like Tomlin or Tomlin. That's wrong. Do you know who I'm talking about though?
No.
Ptolemy.
I
And his
guess
name starts with a P.
sounds familiar, but
I think
no.
it's a silent P. It's Ptolemy.
Probably
My
a
mind
silent P.
immediately went Tomley.
Tomley.
Anyway, king of Egypt, he established the University and a Library of Alexandria, which would be a great topic on
Yeah.
its own.
And they burnt that shit
They
down
burnt it
during the
down.
Crusades.
It's a conspiracy.
right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But they destroyed a lot of information when they did that. But some of the information we still have. We know that he allowed his medical professionals to dissect dead bodies, mostly of executed criminals, all in the name of education. And in Alexandria, Herophilus of Chalcedon, considered to be the first anatomist, started performing autopsies on humans and animals quite regularly. So we're starting to see a bit more of autopsies. It's still pretty taboo. But this guy coined anatomical terms that we still use today. And he was the first person, we think, to distinguish between veins and arteries and the motor and sensory nerves. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
The first recorded autopsy comes from 44 BC, when Julius Caesar was assassinated after doing too much and trying to crown himself king of Rome. The senators stabbed him 23 times. And after his death, they wanted to find out which stab wound was the fatal blow.
Why, though?
Caesar's autopsy found that although his death could be attributed to massive blood loss, the second stabbing that ruptured his chest through his ribs and his aorta could be to blame.
Was this to figure out who, like, exactly killed him?
I don't actually know why.
Yeah.
Maybe what happened after this? What happened to the senators?
Don't
Do we
ask
know?
me.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
I don't have all the context. I just have the autopsy context.
That's all we need.
We probably sound ignorant.
So
Do you know
dumb.
what happened, Alex?
I was Googling the pronunciation of Tom Lee, and it's Ptolemy.
That's what she said.
Ptolemy, yeah.
Ptolemy.
But
Sorry,
yeah,
but I was Googling that and didn't hear anything you guys said.
We were saying we don't know exactly what happened to the senators after they killed Julius Caesar.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I feel like there's
3 for
so
3.
many history things I don't know that come out on this podcast, which is really embarrassing as someone who has a degree in history.
Well, you can't know it all.
No,
really.
there's too much that happened. You can't know everything.
You can't put it on me. I have ADHD. I don't remember anything
and
anyway.
I forgot everything I learned in college as soon as I graduated. So don't come for
I got
me.
it. I got it.
Okay.
The day after Caesar's death, the Senate voted to grant amnesty to all the conspirators.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. They really hated Caesar anyway.
Yeah, fuck him.
Okay, so now we're in AD in 131 to 201. Oh my God, this reminds me of a meme. Another tangent. I saw a meme the other day that was like a caveman, which is totally inaccurate for the times, but the caveman was like, year 6 is going to be my year. We know cavemen weren't alive in 6 AD, but
Yeah.
do you get what I'm saying?
No.
That probably wasn't executed well. It's a caveman, and he's like, 6 is going to be my year. You know how people are like, 2021 is
Yeah.
going to be my year.
Oh, okay. That's just okay. I get it. I
Well,
think.
I should have just showed you the meme, but hopefully you're listening and you understand what I'm saying.
Speaking of memes, you guys, the Night Classy Facebook page, I had never gone like into our Night Classy Facebook ever. Alec posts stuff in like our page sometimes, so I had never seen it before. The memes, because we don't follow anyone with that account, so we're
The
just getting
default is what we're getting.
the weirdest shit. It's always like weird, like far right boomer memes. I just opened up my phone and literally, Haley, it's one of those like incel memes with like the pink haired like angry cartoon, and it says, but if you homeschool your kids, they won't fit in society. And then it's like that like blonde like manly man like cartoon with the blonde girl and a bunch of kids, and it says, yes, that's the point. And then so that's the first one that I just opened up my phone and saw. Then there's a bunch of boxing and NASCAR and soccer posts, and then it says, this one says, watching my mom eat ice cream from a coffee mug so her hands don't get cold made me realize I have a lot to learn from her. And then this next one says,
whose hands get cold eating ice cream? Though?
Mine.
Out of a bowl?
Yeah. I always
What?
have a little like napkin around the bowl to
Interesting. I guess I have a lot to learn from Mom.
This
We all
one's,
do.
racist, so I'm not going to read that one. This one is like graffiti of Popeye, and it says, I'm usually against graffiti, but I'm sort of impressed. It's just a graffiti of Popeye.
And to be clear for those listening, we're not talking about the Night Classy page that you can join.
No.
We're talking about the feed for like the Night Classy account that we have
for Facebook. And so I think what's happening is old racist boomers are the primary demographic of Facebook. So it's suggesting all these like default meme accounts that are really stupid. Like, I'm so embarrassed to open up. We need to start actually following some accounts with the Night Classy Facebook so that this doesn't happen.
Yep, I just joined Twilight shit posting. I'm loving it.
Nice. On the Night Classy account?
No, I don't have access.
Okay, we need to get you access. There's a lot of rugby here.
I haven't thought about rugby in years.
No. This one's actually kind of cute. It's a little chihuahua dressed as the clown from It. I like that one.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, chihuahua just gives conservative boomer energy to me.
Golden retrievers are that for me.
Definitely that. To me, golden retrievers are young conservatives. People who have energy
I can see that.
to keep up with a golden retriever.
There's a lot of Baby Yoda memes too. This is a Baby Yoda. It says, when someone flirts with me but I no longer believe in love, and it's Baby Yoda with a sign that says out of service.
That's cute. We love a good Baby Yoda.
Do we? I don't love Baby Yoda.
I love Baby Yoda.
I feel like Baby Yoda is the new Minions, which are the new Tweety Birds.
I don't know about Tweety Birds. That's like, for some reason, Tweety Bird always makes me think of the Tasmanian devil thing. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Taz.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because they're from the same show.
But do you remember in like the 2000s when so many people had the tattoo of the Tasmanian devil?
Yeah.
What a weird phenomenon that
Tweety
was.
and Taz were like white trash tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Our neighbor next door, their dad had that tattoo, and it was just so prevalent in the early aughts.
It was a weird thing. My grandma was obsessed with Tweety Bird. She had like Tweety Bird memorabilia all over her house.
Such a thing.
Yeah, but
weird.
Then now Minions, and now I swear to you, Baby Yoda is the new trashy cartoon.
It's so cute though.
It's been ruined for me. I can't.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. Let me return the mug that I got for you with Baby Yoda.
That's like, oh my God. There's a new Star Wars show called, what is it called, Alec?
A new what show?
A Star Wars show on Disney Plus.
It's called Bad Batch.
Bad Batch. But Alec goes, Star Wars Bad Bitch? He thought it was called Bad Bitch.
It's Star Wars drag.
I would watch that.
Me too.
But yeah, it's called Bad Batch, and Alec read it as Bad Bitch, and I don't know. I cried laughing when it actually happened.
Bad
it was really
Bitch is
funny
better.
that Star Wars would have a show called Bad Bitch.
Well, you know how it pops up the ads and then they swipe to the side for new shows? It popped up and then swiped, and I thought it said Bad Bitch, and I was like, what the hell?
You just got a glimpse.
Yeah.
I would watch that though. Seriously.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay, sorry to go back to the lesson here. In AD, a couple of years, 131 AD, Galen of Pergamon starts connecting the dots between your body hurting in a certain spot and there being something actually wrong inside of the body. So, for example, someone's like, my chest is hurting. He started to be like, well, maybe there's something wrong with your heart.
What a revelation.
Yes. I mean,
it's not just God punishing you for sinful thoughts.
Your black bile levels aren't out of control. And in the year, okay, we're jumping by like 1,000 years. Okay, 1,000 years forward, Imzer tested on animals and invented the surgical procedure of a tracheotomy.
Whoa.
I know. Autopsies are still taboo at this time, but he realizes that scabies is actually caused by a parasite and not an imbalance of the four humors.
Wow, who would have thought?
Not I. I mean, I'm going to go in and tell my dermatologist my triglycerides may say that they're high, but I really know that it's the yellow bile.
Just need to pump some yellow bile out of your stomach and you'll be all right.
Exactly. Through maybe get a little tracheotomy done, and that's how I can expel them.
Easy.
Easy. Autopsies became more mainstream starting in the year 1231 in medical institutions after Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II authorized them, and he required that medical schools receive at least 2 cadavers per year so that they could start to study the body.
Only 2?
Only 2, and it had to be an executed criminal. It could not be a layman. Not that criminals aren't laymen, and that there were probably plenty of criminals that were deemed criminals for things that weren't criminal. But yeah, only 2. And then in the year 1247, Song Si wrote an instruction manual about how to conduct a medico-legal investigation. So things where they thought maybe this person was murdered. He taught people how to examine the corpses and determine time and cause of death. Included in his publication were illustrations of what poisoning may look like, decomposition, wounds from fake or fake wounds. He included 2 wounds from miscellaneous weapons and strangulation.
I want a copy of that book.
Me too. The illustrations are much less graphic than I thought they would be. They really just kind of look like
a diagram. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, man, I really wanted it to be like those Chinese medical textbooks that I showed you guys, where they like made the paper texture to depict like
those
the
are
pus
so
pockets.
cool.
So cool. It's not like that.
Okay.
The legal autopsy to determine if someone is at fault or not was established in 1302, or the first legal autopsy to determine if someone was murdered or not was in 1302. And for the life of me, I could not get the deets on this case. I don't know what it involved, what they thought the crime was, or anything like that. So if somebody knows this niche piece of information, please let me know. I really, really want to find out. Medical education in the Renaissance starts to embrace autopsies, and obtaining cadavers for students to study were sometimes taken to extreme measures because they were embracing these autopsies. More and more people were getting trained to be in the medical profession. And they didn't have enough bodies. But for the autopsies that were taking place, they were conducted in an operating theater. So a lot of people could be trained in that way. And this is also in the year 1533 is when they do that autopsy on the conjoined twins. And a couple years after that, a Paduan judge lets physicians dissect corpses of executed criminals. Okay. And thanks to this decision, Andreas Vesalius confirms some suspected similarities between humans and animals, but also disproves theories like the theory of the 4 humors. But that's not to say that they don't believe in the 4 humors for years to come. It was disproven in the 1500s, but it continued to dominate pathology through into the 19th century.
Wow.
Yeah. After Andreas released an accurate depiction of human anatomy, medical schools began actually requiring their students to dissect human bodies. So we're starting to see this huge shift in the attitude. They're kind of like creeping into this completely normalcy in training with the human body and using those cadavers.
Imagine if you're in medical school when there aren't cadavers, and then the first time you like have to cut open a body, it's when you're doing your like actual job as a doctor.
Yeah.
And then you realize it's fucking gross and you don't want to do it.
Like, oh my God. You throw up in someone's abdomen.
You like use their open abdomen as a barf bag.
You're like, now you have the correct amount of yellow bile.
Balance you back out. You're welcome.
Yeah. More streamlining came in the 1600s when Theophile, not sure how to pronounce his name, Bonnet published Sepulchretum. He chronicled 3,000 autopsies that had already taken place and organized them by symptoms and suspected disease. So this text was an absolute game changer. He organized his book by organ system. So now doctors could look up the organ system where the person was experiencing issues and actually start to diagnose before they died. So that was pretty cool. But they still didn't know how disease spread, and they definitely didn't have chemical testing or microscopes. So what's the best thing, you may ask? Well, in the 1690s, Antonio Valsalva took matters into his own hands, or should I say mouth.
No, he was tasting it.
He was tasting.
No. Why though? That's
He
like
just
the
had
guy.
to fuck around and find out. It was an autopsy.
That's like the guy I covered who had the like hole in his stomach, and the doctor was tasting his stomach fluid.
Yeah.
Why?
He was probably inspired. I have no idea why, but he was known to taste these fluids that he came into contact with while dissecting human cadavers.
No.
Here's a quote for you. Gangrenous pus does not taste good. Leaving the tongue tingling for the better part of the day.
Oh. Why? What could you possibly hope to gain from tasting pus?
For science. He's like, maybe this will cut down on my black bile.
I feel like I'm going to vom.
I know. It's a barfo disgusto.
Oh,
so nasty.
Gangrene pus.
Uh-huh. He really gave it all up for us.
That's like the kid in school who like eats earthworms. Like, you're just doing this for attention at this point.
Yeah. He definitely went down in infamy for sure. I don't really know. He had to have learned a lot, but what's useful? You know how edible your pus is?
No.
It's scary. In 1724, Hermann Boerhaave was lucky enough to witness a spontaneous rupturing of the esophagus while conducting an autopsy. After this led him on a crusade for physicians and those conducting autopsies to really understand one of their patients' complete medical history in addition to the autopsy, because they would just do the autopsy without context a lot of times. So he's like, we've got to know both things. Like, if this man was having throat issues, I should know about that before his throat explodes.
So I don't
on
get
me.
sprayed by throat juice.
He's like, I signed up for some sprayage, but not this much.
It got in my mouth.
And it left my tongue tingling for the better part of the day.
At least I knew it would happen thanks to the guy who chose to eat it.
Oh, nasty. In the mid-1700s, we saw some innovative methods with autopsies pop up. In 1740, two lovebirds, Anna Morandi and Giovanni Manzolini, were medical hipsters in Italy, okay? Giovanni was an artist. Anna was an autonomist. That sounds like a fucking Avril Lavigne song. She was an autonomist. He was an artist. Can I make it any more obvious? They dissected hundreds of cadavers together. Dream date.
Seriously.
And based off of what they saw in those autopsies, they created anatomical wax figurines of the human body. We still have some of these today. I actually have pictures. And these figures were highly sophisticated.
Oh my God, they're beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
They focused on one organ system at a time and perfected it with their figurines before they moved on to the next. And these figurines were then used to teach others in medical students.
They look like pole dancers.
They do.
They're holding there's
pole.
like a little pole next to them, and they're like holding it and like kind of like leaning towards it in a sultry way.
Yeah, they are. They look like they're embalmed in the amber from what's that movie?
Jurassic
the
Park.
dinosaurs. Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they do look like very ambery and shiny. They're very pretty.
Very, very pretty. In 1951, the British Parliament cleared the Murder Act because murder was off the fucking chain in the 18th century. And they were hoping that this act would cut down on the amount of murders that they had on their hands. So in addition to any death sentences for completing homicide, those convicted could count on their body either being hanged or publicly dissected. So they were hoping that this would unmotivate homicidal acts.
Right, the death penalty isn't enough.
It's not enough. We're going to see your insides. How do you feel about that? So Paul Revere made an autopsy a thing in the Americas in 1775. This happened after his friend Dr. Joseph Warren was killed in battle, and his autopsy became the first forensic dental identification. And this was able to become a thing because Paul Revere made the ivory teeth that were found in the cadaver's mouth. So he was able to be like, yep, I made those teeth. It's got my signature mark that I did for my friend, Dr. Joseph Warren.
Wait, Paul Revere was making teeth?
Apparently, he was a busy man.
So he did more than say the British are coming.
Oh, yeah. Yes. In addition to saying that one thing,
a master
he made
tooth maker.
Yeah. I don't know how many other sets of teeth that he made, but he did that. So
wow,
first,
good for
dental
him.
ID. Yeah.
He's done at least one other thing.
Yeah. Who's to say what else he's done?
Not I.
Not I. In the year 1800, Xavier Bichet looked deeper than the organs in an autopsy, and he started to dissect the actual tissues. He hypothesized that the human body was made up of 21 types of tissues, and he was on the right track. Do you remember how many types of tissues we have?
23.
4.
Oh. Tissues?
Tissues. Yep. We have connective, epithelial, muscle, and nervous tissues.
Okay.
And that's what makes us up. But he was definitely onto something. In the 1800s, Karl Rokitansky may have passed my personal limit for what constitutes too many autopsies conducted. He completed over 30,000 autopsies.
How do you even have time?
That's what I'm saying. And so I did the math. I said, okay, let's say he does one autopsy per day, taking the weekends and holidays off. That leaves 260 working days in a year. And if he took no days off, that's 365. So not working weekends, it would take him 115 years to complete that many autopsies.
So he just had like a conveyor belt of dead bodies and he was knocking them out.
Yeah,
one after
he was
the other.
Definitely quantity over quality, I think. And not only that, he oversaw over 70,000 autopsies in his 45-year career.
This man loved autopsies.
A little too much, right? That's a bit too much, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion. But he did categorize and catalog all of his findings in great detail. So he was a massive help to the autopsy world.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll forgive him for his oddities. In 1821, when Napoleon Bonaparte was dying, he noticed that his symptoms were super similar to what his father's were before his father died. Napoleon's dying wish was that, quote, "After my death, I wish you to do an autopsy. Make a detailed report to my son. Indicate to him what remedies or mode of life he can pursue, which will prevent his suffering. This is very important, for my father died with symptoms much like mine."
Well, that's very nice.
It was very nice. In his autopsy, they found undeniable signs of stomach cancer. So watch out, Napoleon's son. In 1827 to 28, body snatching was super prevalent. More and more medical students had to be trained, and they were now, of course, required to work with cadavers, but they were still limited to the bodies of executed criminals.
It's also worth pointing out that executed criminals were male. So we're
Yes.
only learning about the male body for a long time.
That's such a good point. Dr. Robert Knox was paying for cadavers so that he could dissect them. These two guys, William Burke and William Hare, paired up and decide they'll team up and start killing people in Scotland so that they can turn in the bodies and have a payday. After bringing in 16 bodies and getting 8 to 10 pounds per cadaver from Dr. Knox, the men were caught and arrested. William Hare promised to testify against his co-conspirator, resulting in Burke being sentenced to hanging and a public dissection himself.
Oh.
Yes.
What goes around comes around.
How the turntables. The Anatomy Act was then passed, and this required teachers, doctors, and students conducting any dissections to be licensed. This act also widened the supply, as now anybody could be dissected as long as no relatives objected to the autopsy. So that kind of opened things up. I'm not sure if then women were included in that.
Yeah.
Probably not.
And I don't want to say women were never executed, but I mean, far less often.
Definitely. By 1853, autopsies had become a pillar in criminal investigations. An enslaver in Tennessee ordered an autopsy for one of the women that he enslaved. It was suspected that she was pregnant and that she had died by poison, and the fingers were getting pointed at the enslaver. So the autopsy actually revealed that she had uterine cancer, which led to her bleeding to death and the enslaver to be declared innocent in that scenario.
Right.
In the 1970s. In the 1870s, they started using the microscope, and Rudolf Virchow revealed tiny details and things and just got a little bit more advanced. In 1912, Richard Cabot studied 3,000 autopsy reports and found that over 50% of diagnoses were incorrect.
Wow.
A study in 2005 suggests doctors are still misdiagnosing fatal disease about 33% of the time. And according to a different study from the University of Pittsburgh, about 66% of incorrectly diagnosed cases, the patient's life could have been saved.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you really never know unless you cut people open and look inside.
Take a look-see.
Yeah. But I mean, we're getting closer with like little tiny like robots that we can send into people's bloodstreams and stuff and take a look.
So cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to start saving up for my autopsy now. Give me my autopsy and then burn me. In 1915, they gave us our first high-profile murder case with a forensic psychologist, Bernard Spilsbury. They were able to link George Smith to the murders of his 3 wives, who he murdered in the bathtub, each of them.
Oh,
yeah.
Did he have
Not
all
all
the
at
wives
once.
at the same
Not
time?
all at once.
Oh, okay.
It was like a pattern
It was
that they were able to connect.
His fun hobby.
Fun hobby. Yeah, fun for him. That could be a case in itself. In 1946, the British Army's medical section wartime group gathered evidence from exhumed corpses that they completed autopsies on, and this actually resulted in the execution of several prominent Nazi doctors based off of what they found that they had done to them. In 1951, the Joint Commission on Hospital Accreditation set a minimum rate for autopsies in hospitals. They required that 20% of deaths in the hospital had to go undergo an autopsy to ensure quality care in the hospital. So quite the exit survey.
Yeah.
20 years later, this requirement was waived, resulting in a steep decline in autopsies overall.
Okay.
In 1953, Edith Potter paved the way in perinatal pathology after she dissected over 10,000 infants after they had died. But as as tragic as that is, her research led to a lot of great information.
Yeah.
She found the leading death amongst infants was hemorrhage and hypoxia, oftentimes after long traumatic labors.
Wow. I mean, it's such important work, but that would be a hard job.
Definitely. Someone had to do it.
Yeah.
Vitropsy became a thing in the 90s. This is an alternative to an invasive autopsy. A virtual autopsy employs CT scanners, MRIs, and other 3D scanning methods. In the early 2000s, proof that violently throwing yourself against others in the game of football is not good for your brain. This came after the autopsy of Mike Webster. He died at 50 years old, and Dr. Amalu said that he saw changes that shouldn't even begin until you're like 50 years old.
Wow.
Or no, that they shouldn't be in a 50-year-old man's brain. So that was CTE. I forget what that stands for, but you know, that thing that football players get after
many
concussions.
Cerebral
Trauma.
traumatic injury?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something like that.
Cranial trauma? I'll
don't
look it
know.
up.
Did you ever go to see the Body Worlds exhibition?
No, I wish I have, but I have not.
So I remember it so clearly, and the creator of that exhibition performed the first public autopsy in Britain in nearly 200 years. They hadn't had one. He did that in 2002, and no one's really sure if it was legal or not. It's also unclear if he was licensed to do so.
Oh.
But people paid for this event not knowing what they were getting themselves into.
What did they sell the tickets as?
This guy is a famous artist, so they were just like,
he's an
come
artist?
come see like some of his work.
The
It was
Body
a-
Worlds thing is controversial. I wonder if that could be a night classy topic.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
it has to be, right? Because they didn't get permission.
They're all
for a
Chinese
lot of
prisoners.
those-
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I wasn't sure if it was people who had passed, like people who were unhoused or
Yeah, I had assumed it was just people who had donated their bodies to science, but
No.
dang, that's
Yeah,
bad.
definitely could be a night classy topic. Yeah, clearly, it sounds like this guy was doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
And CTE is chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
Okay.
I was
Thank you for
way
that.
off.
Thank God.
Vitropsy has been used for mummies as well. There's an ongoing study to determine the frequency of violence in prehistoric human societies. There's a large database of Egyptian mummies whose corpses show signs of significant trauma, and they're trying to gather more data from other areas and time periods and chronicle those. So autopsy has come a long way from where it started with the 4 humors as a basis for disease. And now we don't even necessarily have to get invasive with our autopsies. Obviously, we still do. We're still employing the hand saws, but vitropsy has definitely created alternatives. That
Nice.
is my lesson on
Wow.
autopsies.
Great lesson.
Thank you. I hope you learned a lot. And
I did.
I don't have to read my sources
No.
because we're listing them in the show notes.
I saved my hyperlink.
I looked up how to cite things in APA for this.
Oh, are
So I
you
was
going to
like,
do a real citation? I was just going to put the links.
I did a real citation.
Wow, good for you.
Thank you. It felt very official. I think it was just my ADHD being like, let's focus on something else for a second, while
Fair
researching.
enough. I used to love I was a history major. I've said that like 3 times this episode. I'm so sorry. But when I'd write like research papers, I instead of having like a bibliography, I would do footnotes because the footnotes would take up a bunch of space and then I wouldn't have to write as much. And so like I would cite a bunch of shit to
So
take up
smart.
space. It worked.
The best
I
kind of
never got
scam.
called out on it.
Did they teach you MLA or APA in high school?
MLA.
Same here. And then there's no MLA to be found in college. What
No.
the fuck is that?
I don't know. But you don't even really have to learn to cite things anyway, because what you do is you go to a website that does it for you and you just put in the
Just
link
plug it in.
and then it makes it for you. So I don't know why we wasted time learning that. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening, for your support, for getting us to 3 years. We love making this podcast and we could not do it without
And will
everyone
not
here.
do it
And
without.
will not do it. If,
That's a threat.
if you don't listen, we won't make it. So thank you guys again. We love you so much. If you want to keep listening, remember we are going to continue our conversation, share some more fun information over on Patreon. At any level, you can listen to our extra credit where we do that. And we will see you over there or next week. Bye.
Bye.
3, 2, 1. Class dismissed.
You guys keep forgetting that.
I know. It's really gone on the back burner.